Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. Have you ever thought that it was weird that none of the Jedi besides maybe Obi-Wan really seemed to notice that Anakin and Padme were a thing? Well, in the Star Wars Expanded Universe novel, Wild Space, we find out that not only did Yoda know, but that he tried to stop their relationship from progressing any further. I'll also be briefly talking about why the Jedi Order forbade attachments and why they thought it was especially dangerous for Anakin. Now, before I continue, I want to apologize for my voice. I'm still dealing with a little bit of a cold, so bear with me. About a year ago, I made a similar video where I talked about why Luke allowed his Jedi Order to marry. In that video, I went over this topic. Yoda and the other Jedi believed that attachment such as marriage was wrong for a few reasons. The main reason being that they believed that it could lead to the dark side if you were afraid to lose what you loved, which is why they took children at such a young age. Now this topic is heavily debated both in-universe and out-of-universe, and like I said, I made a video talking about it, but suffice to say, Yoda was not a big fan of attachments, especially when it came to the Chosen One. Now, let's talk about how Yoda tried to stop Anakin and Padme's relationship. The novel takes place almost immediately after Attack of the Clones. Obi-Wan and Anakin are both injured, Anakin more severely. Anakin is unconscious and Obi-Wan is in his room with Yoda as he sleeps. Yoda and Obi-Wan begin to discuss some of what I just talked about, why Yoda originally was hesitant to allow Anakin to join the Order in the first place. Yoda also called out Obi-Wan and said that he had attachments, like his attachment to Qui-Gon, which was one of the main reasons Obi-Wan trained him in the first place. So even though I don't necessarily agree with Yoda, I can see his point of view. After all, it was Anakin's attachment to Padme that made him fully turn to the dark side, and the loss of his mother that made him kill men, women, and children. And it was also attachment that led him to be trained in the first place. Three of the major parts of his transformation were a result from attachment. Yoda then asked Obi-Wan if he was aware of Anakin's feelings towards Padme. Obi-Wan is shocked, and he admits that he knew how Anakin felt when he was younger, and later how he felt when they were assigned to guard her. Yoda tells Obi-Wan that he has to end the relationship before it goes too far. So while Anakin was resting, he visited Padme. She was worried and wanted to see him, but Obi-Wan refused. They discussed many things, most of which had recently happened in Attack of the Clones. Things like Anakin's mother's passing and why Anakin decided to disobey the Council and leave Naboo. They began to argue, and eventually Obi-Wan reluctantly asked her to break off ties with Anakin for Anakin's sake. For the sake of the prophecy, and for the sake of his brotherly love for Anakin. Obviously, he hated doing it, but it was Yoda and the Jedi's will. He begged her to leave Naboo to protect Anakin, and let him recover, both physically and mentally. She told him that she agreed, and asked if Anakin could accompany her back to Naboo so that she could break things off with him, which we all know how that turned out. Afterwards, Obi-Wan returned to the temple and informed Yoda. Yoda scolded him for his attachment to Anakin and how it made it harder for him to do what Yoda believed was the will of the Force. He also believed that it was hindering Anakin and his path to becoming a Jedi Knight. Before Obi-Wan left, Yoda told Obi-Wan that he shouldn't be Anakin's friend in the years to come. He could guide Anakin, but he should do it as a master, not a friend. Obi-Wan decided that a friend is exactly what Anakin needed. So that is how Yoda tried to stop Anakin and Padme's relationship. Now I don't want to see a bunch of Yoda hate in the comments. He was doing what he thought was best. He also lived almost 900 years at that point, and after seeing generations of Jedi die by either old age or unforeseen circumstances, he probably viewed life a little differently. So what are your thoughts on attachment for a Jedi? Do you think that Jedi should be allowed to have attachments like marriage? Or are you like Yoda and think that they shouldn't? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Also, make sure to check out the novel Clone Wars Wild Space. It's an interesting book that dives into attachment and how the Jedi handled death and loss. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an awesome day. May the Force be with you.